Day 2 without Tom Thibodeau. Feels very weird, not gonna lie. Whether you liked him, loved him, hated him, about him, it's weird. This man built the franchise from here to here. He is a huge reason why the Knicks are where they are today, and the head coaching search now begins. We have some rumors, we have some candidates, we have some, coaches' names being run through the headlines, things of that nature. It's not a large pool, so I think the same names are going to be circulated here. Obviously, they move on from Tom Thibodeau for reasons that, we can only speculate. Maybe he didn't make enough changes to the lineups, didn't use his bench enough, wasn't able to incorporate Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns on the offensive end of the court. There are a lot of different reasons why people are speculating that Tom Thibodeau was fired. Maybe he lost the locker room. There have been some reports about that as well. But going forward, obviously, if you're Leon Rose, you're thinking about, all right, what were his deficiencies and how can I replace them? And to me, I don't know what available head coach does that. We can get into a conversation about that now, about the three names that I've been hearing the most on the Twitter streets. Name number one is Johnny Bryant, former assistant coach for the New York Knicks, now an assistant coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers, was a finalist for the Phoenix Suns job. I like Johnny Bryant from just a bird's eye view, right? Because obviously we're not in the Knicks organization. I don't know what his philosophies are schematically. I've seen videos of him talking about offensive scheme, and he's big on player movement, off-ball movement, screens, backdoor cuts, which is something that I think should have been more incorporated with the Knicks. But even though I've only seen a couple videos of him talking about that, I don't know what he's like schematically. No one does, really. I mean, he's an assistant coach. The younger players like IQ, RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, they seem to like him a lot. Obi Toppin, same thing. He's gotten high praise from the Knicks organization, especially the younger players who they were developing under the Tibbs era. So, reputation, Johnny Bryant-wise, he's impeccable. He seems like he could be a perfect fit. My only reservation with Johnny Bryant would be that I've never seen him have a head coaching position. And how can I fully give you an endorsement and say, you're the guy, if I don't know what you bring to the table schematically, X's and O's wise? He could be the best coach in the world. I don't know. If he gets hired, yeah, of course I'm going to root for him, and I'll be happy for him. But there's a reservation of, I don't know what we're getting into right now. And that's the only thing that would probably be on my mind that's negative if he were to be hired. Everything else would be all right, young guy, infusion, seem to get along. There are positives with him. But I don't think if you're a Knicks fan, I don't think you can honestly, I don't say be confident, but know for a fact that okay, this is the guy who can do. We just won't know, right? We won't know. I think when Tibbs was hired, you knew what you were getting. You knew you were getting a coach who was going to work his players. You knew that the team was going to turn into a team that was going to play all 82 games as hard as they possibly could. You knew that with Tibbs. You knew he was going to change the culture somehow. With Johnny Bryant, outside of the fact that the younger players loved him and that he's been an assistant coach in the league for a long time, I don't know what we're getting schematically. I don't know what we're getting from the vibes. I don't know what we're getting press conference. I don't know. So it's a question mark. It's a question mark that I'm willing, to explore. If he's the coach, I would be happy. But okay, let's go. Come on, let's go. But it's also, let's be honest now, we don't know. We don't know. Another name that's coming up, and I think it's going to be inevitable that he's going to keep coming up, it's Mike Malone, former head coach of the Denver Nuggets, has won an NBA championship. Of course, a lot of it has to do with the fact that he had Nikola Jokic on his team, from New York, Brooklyn attitude. He's somebody who feels like a lateral movement from Tibbs. You're getting pretty much the same guy in the sense of holds players accountable, which is good. Tough on his team, which can be good. Even though it seemed like he lost the locker room there in Denver. Schematically, not so much different than Tibbs. I think defensively, he's more willing to switch it up. I don't think we would see as much drop coverage of Karl-Anthony Towns, but on the offensive end, it's a different roster, right? With Nikola Jokic, you can use Jokic as a hub with dribble handoffs and him as running point. We don't have that really. Cat's a fantastic passer, but it's different with Cat. Cat and Jokic are not the same player. So I'd be interested to see what kind of offensive system he implements there. It is interesting, though. Jokic and Jamal Murray, Cat and Jalen Brunson, they're different players, but they are the same position. So it's like how, he had success there in Denver. They won a championship. Granted, Jokic could be, for what my money's worth, is the best player in the world. Maybe there's something there with he can figure something out with Jalen and Cat on the offensive end where there could be more chemistry, but it still feels like a lateral movement. He's not somebody I would want to bring on to be the head coach for the New York Knicks for that reason. If you're going to fire the man who has brought your franchise to the playoffs 4 out of the last 5 years, including an Eastern Conference playoff run in his last year, it's got to be an upgrade, or it's got to be somebody who takes them from here to here. And I don't think Mike Malone's that guy. I think Mike takes them from here, and they stay here. Or maybe go here, but they don't go here, which is ultimately the goal of this franchise, which is to win a championship. That's what we're talking about here. So to me, Mike Malone's not the guy. Finally, the last guy that I've been hearing a lot about is one who I definitely don't want. Jason Kidd. Leave him alone. Please leave him in Dallas. Can we please leave Jason Kidd alone in Dallas? I know he made the finals with Luka Doncic last year against the Boston Celtics. They lost. Mixed reviews on him. I know, and the New York media knows, that his time in New Jersey, he was not, let's just say, the nicest person, was not the easiest to deal with. He doesn't have the best reputation around the league to be someone to work with. He has sexual assault allegations, and maybe to some of you that doesn't matter. To me, it does. Don't want anything to do with that. Don't want my coach to be domestic violence abuser. I don't want any of that. I don't want any part of Jason Kidd touching the head coach position of the New York Knicks. I know he played for the team for a year. I know he's one of the best point guards in the league. But all the baggage that comes along with Jason Kidd, I don't want. And then on top of that, I don't think he's a fantastic X's and O's coach to begin with anyway. I think he was horrible in Milwaukee. He was terrible in Brooklyn. He's failed up somehow, some way. He's got a job in Dallas now, in which I think he's been okay, but I don't think he's somebody. Again, we fired Tom Thibodeau. We fired the guy who brought our franchise from the depths of irrelevancy to the Eastern Conference Finals. Jason Kidd is not the coach that's going to just take that torch and bring us to the promised land. If you think he is, you haven't been watching NBA basketball or him coaching for the past decade and a half. You just haven't. Jason Kidd's not the guy. Stop talking about Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd is not the guy. So that's the one name where that if he is hired, I'm out. Not as a Knicks fan. I'm just out on the hire. Just don't want to do it. I don't want Jason Kidd. There haven't really been other names mentioned. Frank Vogel has come up. I like Frank. Again, feels very lateral, even though he has won a championship. I have mentioned Terry Stotts. Terry Stotts is an offensive genius who used to coach the Portland Trail Blazers with Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum during those years, even LaMarcus Aldridge. His offense has always been a main focal point. Defensively, his teams haven't been that great, but I do think you can hire a defensive coordinator, sort of say, to kind of fix it up. Because to me, if you're keeping Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, you got to lean into the offense. You have to lean into the offense. And to me, the Knicks should be looking at a coach who is innovative on the offensive end of the basketball. If they don't have fresh ideas, if they don't have any type of scheme that's going to immediately improve the relationship between Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns on the offensive end, they shouldn't be hired, period. I don't care what they've done in the past, right? You're keeping Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. That's telling me that the defensive end with Jalen and Karl-Anthony Towns, the weak links that they are, is something that you are willing to concede to other teams, which means you better be dope on the offensive end. You have to be. You have to be. There's no other choice. And they weren't this year. It was just Jalen, go be great. Cat, go be great when you're on the court by yourself without Jalen. It can't be that way anymore. Also, Mikal Bridges. Let's get Mikal Bridges going. That was a problem towards the end of the season. So for me, Johnny Bryant, I would accept. Mike Malone, I would begrudgingly accept. Whatever. Jason Kidd's a no. I'm sorry. He's a no. And then you have your Terry Stotts of the world, which I would like. The Frank Vogels of the world, which I'd like. Mike Budenholzer, I don't know. He's won a championship. Feels kind of lateral. Maybe below lateral. He's somebody who I go like this on. Sometimes I think he's a good coach. Sometimes I don't. It's a weird time to be coach searching. I'm not gonna lie, there aren't many coaches out there. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who do you think the Knicks should hire for the head coaching position? Obviously, some rumors are going to be popping up about whether or not the Knicks are trading Cat, whether or not they're trading Mikal Bridges. I've seen some rumors about Josh Hart possibly being traded, which Don't want that to happen. So as they come along, we will talk about them here on Knicks Latest, but how to get, the coaching candidates out there about Tom Thibodeau and what I think the Knicks should do with their coaching carousel. Please leave a comment, like the video. We want to build a community here of Knicks fans at Knicks Latest. We'll be here every weekday during the offseason to break down rumors and headlines. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Knicks Latest. Peace.